If I were to ask you this question, how would you rank the state of the US economy? How would you answer that question? Leave a comment, and today's video is about how you answer that question. There is a large and growing divide between the positive economic data we see and what people think about their economic well being. Never before have American consumers' finances been better than they are today. Yet, when polled recently, most Americans say they are worse off financially and aren't doing well today. So, today we'll dig into the numbers and see what might explain this growing divide between perception and reality. When polled, most Americans say they are worse off since Biden took office. However, the economic data says differently. Claudia Sam has a great write up on the data, and I highly recommend that you check out her post for additional perspective. Today, I want to share some of my views on this topic because as we end 2023, it is great practice for us to summarize where we stand today and anchor our discussion on the data. Kai Rizdal on Marketplace Radio is famous for saying that the stock market is not the economy. However, most people look at the stock market for signs on how the market is doing and how the market feels about the economy. If you had invested $1,000 in the S&P 500 index on January 1 of this year, today you would have roughly $1,201, and that is as of December 3rd, 2023. That's an increase of 20.1% over the year. So in real terms, the market has returned roughly 17.7% during that period. Investment wealth is increasing in the US. However, we know that only 61% of Americans actually invest in the stock market, and that varies drastically by income, education, age, and marital status. The gains in wealth from the strong stock market have not been felt equally across America. Economic growth is strong. Annualized real GDP growth in quarter 3 of 2023 clocked in at 5.2%. By all means, this is a high growth rate and a good sign for the economy. However, overall GDP growth hides a lot of information. While it tells us how the overall economy is doing, it misses some important aspects like inequality and how growth is divided across Americans. I expect that this is where all the negative talk about the economy comes from. The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index provides us with a measure of how consumers feel about the US economy. The index shows that consumers have been feeling blue about the economy since the COVID shutdowns, and that index has not recovered. In fact, it continues to drop over time. The divide between real economic data and consumer sentiment is widening. Negative talk about the economy has led to social media trends referring to this economy that we live in as the silent depression. I have previously discussed this and have a video on the topic. I'll link to it up here, so make sure to check it out. Silent depression trend was actually the first sign of a diverging economic view, mostly from my perspective, driven by inaccuracy around how to analyze economic data. So, why are people unhappy? I expect there are several reasons. First, and most importantly, while overall wealth has increased, this does not say much about consumers' pocketbooks. Average prices in the economy have been growing at a faster rate than have the growth in the rate of wages. Luckily, that trend has recently changed as of May 2023. The consumer, however, during that time has lost a lot of purchasing power, and making up that difference will take a higher rate of growth in wages. Additionally, the increase in interest rates has made consumer debt more costly. While the average consumer was worried about inflation, the increasing interest rate to combat inflation have started to hurt consumer spending. The increase in housing prices, coupled with mortgage rates hikes, has caused home ownership to seem like an unattainable American dream, especially for younger Americans looking to start their wealth building journey. This probably speaks more to the rise in social media trend around the silent depression narrative. Let's talk about the psychology of comparison. The income report by the Census Bureau that was released in September shows that the income inequality is growing in the United States. The income Gini index decreased by 1.2% between 2021 and 2022. And this represents the first time the Gini index has shown a decrease since 2007. We have also seen poverty rates increase as government COVID relief programs have come to an end. We know from the relative income hypothesis that people care more about their relative income rather than their standard of living. All of this leads us to this concept of the psychology of economics and then how it impacts our views. I believe what is fueling this negative sentiment is more psychological rather than facts. Here are some psychological areas that are influencing overall sentiment. First, social comparison. The relative income hypothesis suggests that individuals tend to make social comparison and assess their well being in relation to others. If people perceive that their income is falling compared to others in their group, it could lead to more negative outlook of the economy. Income inequality. Consumer sentiment can be influenced by the level of income inequality in society. High levels of income inequality might lead to dissatisfaction among those with lower incomes, potentially impacting their consumer sentiment. Perceived economic conditions. Relative income also plays a role in how individuals perceive the overall economic conditions. Even if the economy is growing, if people feel that the benefits are not distributed fairly or that others are doing better, it can affect consumer sentiment. Don't ignore the politics. While the economic data indicates a strong economy, the divide reflects political views of Americans. There's a strong correlation between party of affiliation and views on the economy. In swing states, 89% of Republicans say that the state of the economy is worse off compared to 59% of Democrats. We also know that people usually rate the economy more poorly when their party is not in power. As America becomes more polarized, our views of the economy will be shaded by consumers' political affiliations. Here's the takeaway. The divergence between economic data and perception is growing. Most economic data show a strong economy, more wealth accumulation, and an increase in real wage growth. Perception is not reality, but someone needs to convince the US consumer of this truth. We're also seeing a divergence of what consumers say versus what they do. Consumer spending and saving behavior indicate that they are still doing well. They continue to spend, deplete their savings, and make additional purchases, all of which are usually a sign that the consumer believes that tomorrow is going to be better than today. The real divide is between what Americans say they feel about the economy and how they are actually behaving in their personal lives. Thank you all for being here. My name is Dr. A. I'm an economist at the Hale College of Business, and I love to discuss economics on this channel and bring economics to life. It's important for us to have a good understanding of economics, the economic data, so we can make better decisions in our personal lives. I went ahead and created a video for you, so check out this next video.